Balaam prophets are more dangerous than any other one. Very dangerous guys. They are so subtle. They can talk for 1 hour, and for 45 minutes they are sharing the words of God and the visions of God. But for 15 minutes they drop the resourcery. The Balaam prophets are very difficult to identify. A childish believer will fight you if you identify a Balaam prophet. They will contend with you and call you all kinds of names. That is why a Balaam prophet can prophesy to you accurately about your destiny, so that you follow them for them to ruin you. I can give you the names of Balaam prophets in Nigeria. Even here in Kenya, the ones I've seen, I can give you their names. So when we speak, we know what we are saying. They hear the words of God, they hear the visions of God. But what is the impact of the ministry in your life? Is your own nature still standing? If the answer is yes, then you have not met a man of God. You have met a dark man of God.
Which is the simplest way of knowing whether your prophet or prophetess is one of the dark men of God? Is it by their prophecies and utterances? Of course not. If your old nature still remains alive despite sitting under them, you are under a dark man or woman of God. They cannot help you bury your old nature despite their accurate divination.
Any man of God who is not of God, be it an apostle, a prophet, evangelist, pastor, or teacher, cannot help you bury the old nature. They will only keep it alive. They will never emphasize on it. That is one way you know that you are dealing with a dark man of God, a dark woman of God. They are not interested in helping you bury it. They could hear the words of God because they can tap into those frequencies. They could see the visions of. Is that not? Balaam is so dangerous. Balaam prophets are more dangerous than any other one. Very dangerous guys. They are so subtle. In fact, they can preach for. They can, you know, they don't preach. They prophesy. So okay, they just talk. Of course, they can talk for 1 hour, and for 45 minutes they are sharing the words of God and the visions of God. But for 15 minutes they drop the resourcery. Are you understanding me? Can I tell you something? No matter how small a drop of poison is, it can still kill. So the person has spoken the words of God, the visions of God for 45 minutes. And okay, for the 1 hour. If you look at the 1 hour, 15 minutes out of the 1 hour, he dropped sorcery. But you didn't see it. You swallowed it and went away. You didn't see it. Why you did not see it? Because of the God dimension the person brought. Is somebody hearing what I'm saying? That is why, listen, the Balaam prophets are very difficult to identify. A childish believer will fight you if you identify a Balaam prophet, because of the God dimension they have seen. They will fight you. They will contend with you and call you all kinds of names if you expose the sensibility of a Balaam prophet. And look at what he said again. He said, let me read verse 4 again. The utterance of him who hears the words of God, who sees the vision of the Almighty, who falls down with eyes wide open. Do you think it's just a natural eyes? That is trance. He experienced the visionary states of God and sees the agenda of God, but it's not part of the agenda of God.
And here is the catch. Balaam prophets can prophesy to you accurately about your destiny with an aim of capturing your attention to believe they are men of God. However, their end goal is to ruin and strip you. Apostle narrates how these Balaam prophets camouflage.
A Balaam prophet can prophesy to you accurately about your destiny. Do you know why they do that? So that you follow them, for them to ruin you. They can tell you things. They can tell you things that agree with your destiny. Things God may have spoken. You see, it was when I tested prophets of God that I saw the difference. I went to visit somebody. I entered into the person's house because then I was still starting ministry. I was like 2-3 years old in ministry. So I went to visit somebody. I entered the person's house because before I came, the person had already told people around that I was coming. So they were expecting to see man of God. So I came and I sat in the house. The first person who sought to see me was a prophet in their church, who they never knew he was a prophet of darkness. He was the first person who sought to see me. So as soon as then there were no mobile phones, so I didn't know how the person knew. A minute I entered, maybe they saw that he just rushed in. I can't forget. I didn't know it was a prophet. He rushed in, fair in complexion, very plump man, like young man like that, taller than me and huge. He just came in, but he came in with the humility of an angel. You get my point? As soon as he came in, he bowed like this to me and said, "You're welcome, man of God." I said, "How do you know, man of God?" "Okay, you're welcome, sir. How are you doing?" I said, "Fine, sir." He bowed and we chatted a bit and he left. As soon as he left, the person who I went to greet went to see him off. Do you know what he told him? As soon as I stepped into the house, I saw 2 angels by his side. I saw 2 angels by his side. In fact, that man of God is loaded. I saw 2 angels by his side. That man is going somewhere. God will use him to change our generation. Don't forget that. Then I was looking smaller than this. Don't bother yourself that you look small. It's a time bomb for God. You know, big things come in small packages. Deal with him with full respect. Make sure you honor him. He began to preach. That was what made the person to believe. So look at how everything was exposed. 2 years later, I came again to their church and I preached. The person did not even attend the service. And God unveiled things and I prophesied from this day forward, every sorcery in this house is gone. And that was how I left. Now the same man who said I saw 2 angels began to speak ill of me after that. And his sorcery was being exposed. He caged the entire church and did a lot of stuff. Later I now went and now asked them, "How did you people know this person?" "Oh, he was a prophet of a white garment church. So later he repented and joined our church. So the guy removed white and put mufti. But the spirit was still there." Are you understanding me? He could tap into the visions of God. He could tap into the words of God. He could speak some things that look accurate. But it is not accurate in spirit. How do you know the impact on your life? That's the only way you know such things.
You can know whether prophecies are from God by checking the scriptures, and sometimes by checking at your character. If your character remains the same despite sitting under a prophet or a prophetess, you could be sitting under a dark man or woman of God. Apostle gives us the target of these Balaam prophets.
There's a way you judge prophecy by looking at the Bible. There's a way you judge prophecy by looking at your character. All my days of being under this prophetic ministry, what has it done to my nature as a Christian? Have I buried the old nature? Do I even know there was an old nature? Some of you won't know. You will know about the altars in your village, not the old nature that need to bury, because they are not of God. The target of dark men of God is not to bury the old nature, but to keep it alive. Don't forget that. Write it down. The target of dark men of God is not to bury the old nature, but to keep it alive. Keep it alive. Because in keeping it alive, you are hell-worthy. In keeping it alive, spirits will always be around you. What will you say of this? That a prophet looked at a girl and told her, "You are called of God." He began to speak encounters the girl have had with God in secret. Everything was true, and the girl was totally knocked out. And why? After I finished, and the girl just came from a house where she was living with a man that's not her husband. The prophet never went there. You are called of God, you are this, you are this, you are this. God will use it to do 1, 2, 3. Everything was true. Look at what he said about the man she was living with. God gave you the man as a partner in ministry. They are not married. They are living together. It is called fornication. Why didn't that God recognize fornication? Why would that God, who saw accurately about the things he wants to do in your life, why would the same God now call fornication marriage? Why the Bible negates it? Are you understanding what I'm saying here? I'm trying to go as simple as possible for you to understand the sensibilities of these dark men of God. I'm not saying they are dead men. They are alive, but they are dark. They are dark. They are alive to see your prayer. They are alive to know the things you are doing in secret. They are alive to know even your plan to travel out. Your plan. I remember one landing in Abuja one day. He came to that church, and can you imagine? He collected 120 something cars, 123 cars.
And you could ask yourself, how did the prophet manage to steal all those cars from people without pointing a gun at their heads? Apostle narrates how these prophets of Balaam operate.
From day one. Prophecies. He just spoke the words of God a bit. There was a woman who came from Lagos to Abuja to attend visa interview. He just picked her immediately. Come! She came. He called her name, called her daughter name. Two of them were seated. And called where she lives in Lagos. The woman came out. She almost fell on the ground because she was already crying. She now said, you are here in Abuja to get a visa to the US. You've suffered so much in life, of course, everything accurate. He now told her, as you go, you're going to be given 2 years, you and your daughter. She was to go the following day in the morning. Meeting was still going on Monday to Saturday to Sunday. Sorry, Wednesday to Sunday. And this was on Thursday. The woman went to the US embassy, got the 2 years visa and came back. And the church broke out on Friday. Fire was everywhere. Then on that Friday, he now collected the cars. 123 and 32 cars. It's not a joke. I saw them. Now listen. How do you collect them? I told you this is what God has given this man. God has given. He now begin to raise money. Isaac, God is saying you should give your car. In fact, if you know that you have a car in this church, don't go home with it. If it is you, want to drop the car? Because yesterday you saw a woman that came for visa and she got it. You saw it with your eyes. She got the 2 years visa. And the other miracles he gave, which happened. And now, the same prophet now said, God said, don't go with the car. I want to give you something bigger. Want to drop it if you are mumu? How can I come with my, God forbid, shege? You know, such prophecy, you can drop Reketi car. You can drop the car that have been a problem. You just say, thank God, God have even seen my afflictions. But a brand new car. Sorry, you can drop a wheelbarrow, but not an engine. It will take a high-class prophet. And yet they drop, you know, Abuja, a rich place, massive cars. They drop cars crying even. And they went. They shared everything. They shared the loot with the host pastor.
And one day, something happened. Apostle concludes this by telling us that authentic prophetic ministry takes us to the cross. Have a listen.
One day the host pastor, Jesus, met him and said, so I gave you sheep and you are eating them. He said, Lord, how? He said, the person you brought, I didn't send him. Do you know what the man did? In his righteousness, he returned the cars that remained. He returned it back to the people. The rest will say, I'm so sorry, we cannot get the cars back. Let me just pay you the value. Because he met Christ. From that day, he never invited the prophet again. I won't mention his name. All of you knows him. He never invited again. I can give you the names of Balaam prophets in Nigeria. Even here in Kenya, the ones I've seen. I can give you their names. Balaam. So when we speak, we know what we are saying. They hear the words of God. They hear the visions of God. But what is the impact of the ministry in your life? Is your own nature still standing? If the answer is yes, then you have not met a man of God. You have met a dark man of God who lack capacity to bury the old nature of even his own old nature. Come to talk of your own. Listen, like I said, the fivefold ministry gift, if they are actually the finger of Christ, your old nature cannot survive in their presence. You will not even be happy touching it. They will take you to the cross. Authentic prophetic ministry takes you to the cross. I can show you the pattern in the Old Testament. Authentic prophetic ministry takes you to the cross.
To get Apostle Tarkim's full messages, kindly call or text on +254 791 333 111. And here is another message you should listen to. Thanks for watching.